spoke Spanish in high school. You can't do everything well, but that's one of the things I wish I did better. And then I'll retire, and then I'm gonna go take Spanish lessons and be bilingual. Hey, it's just great to be back. What a special moment today. I think we think of Leo as the greatest player of all time. But if you really know him, you know that what really matters is what he can do to grow the game. And he is not just the greatest player of all time, but he's incredibly humble. And I think that humility comes from, his family, his mom and dad, his upbringing, and the fact that he wants to leave a legacy that goes beyond trophies. And when he has a bunch of kids playing from all over the world in the Messi Cup, that's the best example of that. Seeing young Nash Dearman, who I remember last year, who was about a foot shorter and not nearly as strong, come back again and lift the trophy, the MVP trophy for Leo, also is a real sort of great moment for what Inter Miami is doing on the development side. So it's good to be back.
How important is the development of, and for someone like Messi to head something like this up, how important is it for the MLS to develop their own?
Vancouver had 4 homegrown players, 4 U.S. national team players on their team. And as you look around the league, we had several hundred players that came through academies playing for the first team. The future of Major League Soccer is not just having some of the best players in the world like Leo and Son and Thomas Mueller. It's having the great young players. Benjamin Kremasky is an example of that. So it is critical for the future of the sport, future of our league, to continue to invest and develop world-class players. I got all of them, not going anywhere.
Can you
One at a
take us
time.
through the planning process as to why the presentation happened during MESSI Cup, and how did you came up to?
Yeah, I think they wanted to have the presentation when he was around a bunch of kids. It'd be so much easier to do it before MLS Cup. We knew he was the MVP. We could have done it a week from now, but Leo always thinks about that first. If it wasn't raining, he was going to have all the kids out there and fist bump them all. I mean, he's a unicorn, man. Not just for what he does on the field. He's just a unicorn special man. So that's why I'm here today. I mean, I got back very late Saturday night with my grandkids on Sunday and got here yesterday. So that's what we do.
In the short time that he's been in the league, how much have you seen it change and grow because of him, and have you?
I said to him on the stage, which I say to him every time I see him, it's really a great honor to have him in our league, and he's taken our league to new heights. He decided to be here, and now the conversations with other great world-class players are part of the global conversation when players are either out of contract or thinking about their future. Having the game, and ratings will come out in the next 48 hours. It'll be our largest audience of all time. Inter Miami is a global brand. They're going to be going on a world tour. And we've had a lot of world-class players in our league, but there's only one Leo Messi.
Don, you talked about
one-sided voting since 2015. The man is 38, which we all forget from time to time. What does that say just about, you've used unicorn 1,000 times, Leo, but to be the most one-sided MVP in a decade at 38, I don't think any of us probably would have thought that.
Yeah, and I think we look at athletes through the lens of the masses. When are you in your prime? And then you have players like Tom Brady who play in their 40s, and you have LeBron who's having a pretty darn good season. Leo's just different. It's when you see everybody dancing around, and I saw some Instagram stuff on that, and Leo's kind of saying, okay, I'm going to do this, but that's not really my priority. My priority is my fitness, my family, my team, my country when I play for my national team, and that's, I think, what's kept him fit and healthy. When I gave him a little hug, it seems like he's stronger now than he even was, a couple of years ago when I met him.
from a league standpoint, how do you guys view the part of him that doesn't like to do media? That obviously does play a part in the U.S. dynamics and sports.
Yeah, we, you all are great supporters of our league. You're here today, and you support us all year long. The international football community just thinks about their relationship with the media very differently than the North American media does. It's just the difference in the DNA of our leagues here and the leagues abroad. That's something we have to manage. Our coaches are growing up in different environments. Our players are growing up in different environments. It's something we've got to continue to plow through. I do believe that all of our players and all of our coaches, if we want our league to be more popular, are going to have to embrace access in ways that are going to be similar to what happens in the NBA and in the NFL and in other, domestic leagues. But that's a cultural education, and we're just going to continue to work for it. But, it's just one of the things we've got to manage through.
But Thomas Mueller speaks. He's a World Cup champion also,
Yeah.
and he does speak. I mean, is that just a different culture?
I don't know the answer to that, Michelle. I mean, Thomas, I don't communicate with a lot of players, but I've been communicating with Thomas. I mean, he has embraced Vancouver in ways that I've almost never seen an international player embrace a city. It's just the way he's wired. He's a happy guy. Seeing him stay there for the presentation and a smile on his face and clapping for the club. It's just the way Thomas is, and not everybody's the same. We have, as you all know, 600 players on our clubs. I mean, including of our youth players, almost 1,000. So everybody's going to be different. You can't expect they're all going to be the same.
Do you think?
What about the clubs in CONCACAF Champions Cup? A lot of MLS clubs. The draw is tonight. How do you expect MLS to keep growing in that tournament that's always been?
Yeah, we've been performing really well in that over the last number of years. I hope we continue. We league executives we're agnostic as to who wins in the league. Most people don't accept that, but it's totally true. I want home teams to win, but when we're playing in the CONCACAF Champions League, I am sitting in a chat group with people in our office, and I am rooting for Major League Soccer. And I hope our clubs continue to do well. We've gotten to the end. We've only been able to lift that trophy many years ago with LA, and then certainly with Seattle. But I was hoping Vancouver would take it home, and I'm hoping this club can continue to lift trophies, as could all the many other teams that are doing well. We are more competitive in this region than we ever were before. For all of you soccer football people, that was a really good match on Saturday. I was sitting next to the president of U.S. Soccer and the head of Canadian Soccer, and Victor Montagliani, and they just said, man, this league, the quality of the competition has just elevated so much over the last number of years, and I think our best days are still ahead.
Don, how confusing do you think it is to the American soccer fan, all these other championships and all these other trophies? Do you think that takes away a little bit from the MLS?
I think it's an education process, and part of the increased popularity of MLS is the globalization of content and media and sport. So there are a lot of soccer fans here, and you'll see that in the World Cup this summer. So I don't think it's the same challenge that it might have been, many years ago when we were trying to even explain it to our own players and partners. So I don't think that's an issue. Other leagues are beginning to do that. The NBA has their in-season cup, and the NHL has their Four Nations Cup. I think it's great. I like being an innovator. I like what we've done with Leagues Cup, and I like our desire to continue to push the envelope.
Don,
Now,
The
this-
MLS is growing a lot. The MLS is growing a lot. You think in 10 years you'll be close to the top 4 leagues in Europe?
I believe we're thought of as one of the top leagues in the world today, right? So whether or not we're competing with the Premier League or La Liga or Serie A is really not that relevant to me. I don't know what the world's going to look like 10 years from now. I do know we're going to get more popular, we're going to get more competitive, we're going to have more players that are going to choose Major League Soccer. We're going to have 3 new stadiums in 3 really large markets coming on in the next couple of years. We're changing our calendar, so we'll be closer to the international FIFA calendar, is what we call it. So I think we'll be way more competitive with the top leagues.
Can
in
you
the
talk
world.
about Miami Freedom Park and just what I don't know if you did before already. I got here a couple minutes late.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've seen it come up. Obviously, Michelle, we were very involved as well with all of our stadium projects from the initial plans. We looked at so many different sites at the ship terminal. We looked at the place right near the museum, and here we are, with stands going up, and I don't know whether we're 20, 30, 40% already built. It's going to be a game changer for the sport here. It's going to be a game changer for MLS. I always believed that South Florida was the gateway to South America, and South America's got such a passionate football culture and so many people here that love the game. So that along with New York City and in Chicago, in downtown Chicago, is going to really be a game changer for our league.
Don, how do you
I wanted to
measure
ask you about
success?
the 3 stadiums, but you addressed that. You've done a lot in a short time. The new calendar, you have more and more names. Messi's a champion now, all these things. it's probably like a dream come true from an administrative standpoint, but how would you say the league has handled so much so fast?
Well, you know, I've always believed that, you know, good leaders are always looking forward and not looking back. You know, I think it's one of the crosses we bear. Rarely can you sit in a stadium that's took 10 years to get built, or, you know, present another trophy to best player in the world. Do you look back and say, how did we do it? Because we get asked that question, you know, when are we going to be the top league in the world or among the top leagues in the world? It's a global sport, and it's getting more and more competitive. The domestic leagues are getting more popular. Ratings are going up across all the leagues. I always believed that we wanted to build a soccer nation in our country, and we thought that MLS would be the driver of that, because we've got boots on the ground and we're driving a commercial business, we're creating a media market, all that really didn't exist. So when people ask the question, where's it going to go? I have no doubt that this sport will be the most popular sport, or among the most popular sports in this country. We're only in 30 years. The others are in 100 years. Our structure is one that I think allows us to be strategic and get investors to be smart and thoughtful. We could make changes like the calendar. That was not an easy thing to do. We thought about it for probably 5 years. Took us a year of work and pods with our owners and data and research and fan research. So, you know, we're committed to getting it right. And I feel good for folks like you. And you want this league to be good. You want the sport to be good. And the World Cup's gonna be great. It's gonna be a record and everybody's gonna be excited, but we don't want it to be a concert. So to have this big moment and then leaves and then what? We want to lift this sport. Well, look what's happening with the women's game. I mean, it's setting records, and now global discussions on players and record franchise sales and stadiums going up. I mean, for all of us, because we're in this together, this is fantastic.
Don, how do you measure?
Not only supporting players,
The Hispanic
but
way.
also coaches.
Yes, thank you. Dan, I'm pretty sure that all the fans, specifically from here, from South Florida and from Miami, would like to hear, you know, a message from the top executive of the MLS. After so many years, we were waiting here to have a team, 20 years in the wait, and finally, when we got the Inter Miami, what would you say to those fans that they were, even when we don't have a team, they were there supporting and trying to get a team for us?
They earned it. They earned it. They never lost faith. They never lost belief in having their own team. And then they came out when this club was launched and supported it and showed us the passion of what this sport could be in a very, very diverse market. And good for them, you know, winning a trophy and winning that. You know, I was in not that far from where Leo scored that free kick against Cruz Azul. I mean, from that day on, you know, it's been great. And by the way, it isn't just a vertical path, right? They've had their challenges and their trials and tribulations, and it's going to get lifted up even higher in the new stadium. The Moss family so believes in this city, in this region, in this sport, in this club. I mean, they are incredibly supportive owners, and they're personally investing an enormous amount of money, and I think it's only going to get better.
Don, how does the
And
league
in memory
measure?
to the fusion, also that.
Mr. Garber, congratulations for all the success. Is the MLS open to the discussion about the number of DPs in every club?
Yeah, I mean, we're going through an off-season process as we looked at our schedule change, and we're looking at our roster rules and how things are organized in terms of spending every single year. We're going to do that again in the off-season. We talked about that, you know, at our State of the League, and just hang tight. I'm not quite sure what those changes will be, but we're looking at it. We're doing the work.
Don, how does the league measure success? You talk about wanting to be one of the best leagues in the world. How do you guys measure?
You know, we look at very specific measures. That's you, not me.
My bad.
We look at very, very specific measures. You know, the first is relevance. You know, you want your clubs to matter. That's what drives football in Argentina and Brazil and the UK and in Italy and Spain and everywhere in the world. And we're competing with so much here in our country, but we want our clubs to be relevant. That, you know, when you walk down the street here, somebody says, hey, you know, are you here for MLS Cup? And having people walking around with Vancouver jerseys and Miami jerseys. The second is the quality of play. And you can measure that with data. We do. What are expected goals? How much time is the ball in play? There's a wide variety of data that we collect with players. We look at that data. We've got data scientists both at the club level and the league level. And then the third is the value of our teams, right? Fans don't care about that, but we do, because the more valuable teams are, the more investors will invest in players and facilities. So those are the three things we measure.
Commissioner, what about you not only exporting players but coaches? Because now European teams are coming and looking at your coaches who are having success in this league. That didn't happen
Yeah,
a lot before.
we're trying to be part of the global game. You know, we had $300 million in incoming transfers, $200 million in outgoing transfers, so $500 million in the transfer market for Major League Soccer. I mean, that's a game changer. And then when you see Winfred go over, you know, he's been such a great coach in Major League Soccer, and again, a really, really, really special guy. So I'm super happy for him. I'm sure Columbus will do the work, and they've been a terrific team and have been very successful on and off the field.
Have you seen overnights for Saturday, or did you like?
Not yet.
Right here, the left.
Don, you have just said that as a leader, you're looking forward to welcome new players. I don't know if you are aware, but there is a Real Madrid legend who is now a free agent. He's called Sergio Ramos, and he has been linked before to Inter Miami and other MLS clubs. I don't know if you are aware of any moves, or
No,
you would
I'm-
like to see him.
I'm not
here in
aware,
the
but
States.
you know, Ramos is an unbelievable player, and seeing him play against us in the Leagues Cup and in the Champions Cup is frustrating. So I don't know. I haven't heard anything about
And
it.
about Mo Salah?
I've seen some rumors about Mo Salah, and you know, I feel very strongly. You know, we don't ever talk about the league, right? It shouldn't. The league is just an administrator. Somebody used that word, but you know, we very much believe in the sanctity of a contract. That's an American business dynamic that might not be as thoughtful in the rest of the world. Mo's under contract to Liverpool, people we know, and it's a great team. Obviously, if he ever decides he wants to come to Major League Soccer, we'd welcome him with open arms. I would say he should reach out to Leo and reach out to Thomas Mueller and see how happy they've been and how successful they've been and how much they've really embraced being in Major League Soccer.
Don, I want
Let's
to
do a
ask you about
couple more.
San Diego's season, who were the best newcomers
Yeah.
of the year and the best newcomers in the league's history. What do you think they did right, and how can this set the mark for future expansion teams?
You know, it starts with a good plan, and they had some time to launch their team. They've got a very engaged ownership group. Mohamed Mansour and his partners and their connection to Right to Dream is a perfect marriage. They had a plan, and they executed that plan. They've got a big stadium. They've been filling that stadium. We were really pleasantly surprised how successful they were. I think that they're going to be a very competitive team in MLS. And for all of you, as somebody asked about homegrown players, I've toured the Right to Dream Academy that they have. I mean, I was around a bunch of the new class U14s, and I was doing media with two young 13-year-old kids that did a better job than I do. They are special, and those kids are going to grow up, and hopefully they'll play in MLS or they'll go to some great university, and they're special. Happy, very pleased with San Diego.
Commissioner, you mentioned World Tour when it comes to Inter Miami. How can the league capitalize when Inter Miami goes to South America or some other places and grab some of the attention that maybe is there only for Inter Miami or only for Messi?
Yeah, I mean, it's through media. It's good to have a global Apple deal, and if they go to a country where we have linear rights, and we do in many countries, we'll be able to capitalize on that. I mean, one thing I know is when Beckham toured with the Galaxy, we didn't have to do much to promote it. You know, the world promoted it, and when Inter Miami tours, wherever they're going to go, we're not going to have to do much. It's going to be done for us.
In the same line, I just came from Colombia, and most of the boys on the mall, they are wearing the pink shirts of Inter Miami.
Hopefully, they're officially licensed products.
What is the planning the international side for the MLS?
You know, again, I say we used to have a plan, and now you have players that drive that plan. So obviously we have more interest in Korea than we did before, now that we have Son playing in LA, and certainly in Germany with Thomas. So, the league has got a global deal with Adidas, a global deal with Apple, and we feed that. We feed it with content, we feed it with local media relationships, we feed it with press conferences, and that's what every league does, whether it's our league, the domestic leagues here, or the international leagues.
You think
All right.
Neymar?
Yeah, I think I said that
last
forever,
one.
but maybe forever's too
Last
long.
one. You think Neymar will fit with his profile to
Last
be
one.
the next big star in MLS? You like it to Neymar be here?
I don't know. I can't even answer that. But as I said, any great player that wants to play in Major League Soccer, we would welcome them.
Well,
All right.
thank you.